Recording.
Got it.
Good morning.
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 Good morning. This is morning devotions for Wednesday, July 22nd. Our theme this morning is Your Will Be Done on Earth as in Heaven. Make full use of the present opportunity.
Give
Give
thanks
thanks every day.
For everything. Is there someone that would like to read the epistle reflection?
Sure, I will.
Okay, Betsy.
In everything we do, in our troubles, difficulties, and hardships, we show we are God's servants by purity, patience, and kindness, by the Spirit and by our love, and by our message of truth. We show ourselves for what we are. We may seem poor, but we make many rich. We seem to have nothing, but we possess all there is to have.
Can you move?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to move everybody over. Okay.
Our reading this morning is from the Gospel of John, and it takes place after the crucifixion. And do I have someone who'd like to read John 20:11-18?
I'm willing.
Okay, whoever was first. Sound like three opportunities.
Uh-oh. But Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. As she wept, she bent over to look into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white, sitting where the body of Jesus had been lying, one at the head and the other at the feet. They said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" She said to them, "They have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, but she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you looking for?" Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Do not hold on to me, because I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to make my God and your God." Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord." And she told them that he had said these things to her.
What word or phrase resonates or challenges you in this reading?
He wept.
I think it's Mary stood weeping outside the tomb. Richard Rohr is doing a week of meditations on
You're going to get one of those in a minute.
See at the bottom, that's coming.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
I think we've talked before about the fact that the first person to see Jesus was a woman, and she went and told the disciples.
Wait, that's a good transition for the next point.
Yeah, that last sentence, Mary Magdalene went and announced to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord."
I notice where he says to her, "Do not hold on to me because I have not yet ascended to the Father." Tell everyone. Okay, so wait a minute. That implies that, wait, do not hold on to me because I've not yet ascended to the Father. Do not do it yet because it implies you'll get to do it later, but later to the Father. So it doesn't compute.
Yeah,
I was thinking the same thing. That's such a strange wording to me.
And it hadn't tripped me up before. I think just because we know the story so well. I was like, well, okay, yeah, later after. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
Did he really mean physically, do not hold on to me? I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. I would guess. I think if this were to happen today in our culture doesn't have, other than coronavirus, but aside from that, you know, if we saw someone we hadn't seen for a while and thought had been killed, much less had been dead, and we saw them, we'd be rushing to hug them
Hmm.
with
Yeah.
with that in mind. You know, I would assume she was going to try to touch him physically, and he said, hold on a minute, but I don't know. I just never
Also
know.
for the translation, do not cling.
Hmm.
Do not cling.
I was kind of surprised at him calling her, and you know, him kind of saying twice, "Why are you weeping?" instead of just initially saying Mary. And that's kind of a different interaction pattern. I mean, if you see someone, you know, wouldn't you initially just say, "Hey, how are you, Susan?" or "Hi, how are you, Paul?" You know, it's
She didn't know who he
interesting.
was.
Right. I mean, she was in such grief.
Right. And it's almost as though he had assumed she would immediately know who he was. Like she was of the same spiritual awareness as he is.
Hmm.
But because
Yeah.
of his grief.
I've always thought it a bit of a mystery too, is to, she didn't recognize him right away. She thought he looked like a gardener, which I think is really cute.
Well, gardeners it's not uncommon to see gardeners working early in the morning before the day gets hot.
Right. And not until he says her name, she knows him by his voice, not by his appearance. That's kind of a mystery there as well.
Isn't in one of the Gospels, isn't he in a white robe, or isn't there a white light or something as well? Am I remembering that?
I think it's the angels that are in the, I don't remember any of the four Gospels that talk about
That sounds right.
him being, but
Yeah, the angels. That's it. Yep. Well, I was wondering, what was he wearing? I mean, is he there in a robe? I'm assuming he's clothed at this point.
yeah, probably traditional. I'm assuming traditional garb
Right.
that he would be wearing
He was buried in.
a normal day.
Right.
Any other thoughts about the gospel reading here?
I think it's interesting that the angels ask her why she is weeping. First of all, she comes in and she's weeping. She's clearly grieving.
Mhm.
The angel says, "Why are you weeping?" Then Jesus says, "Why are you weeping?" So this is clearly questioning why is this a sad occasion? Why is this a moment of grief when it could be seen a different way?
Mhm.
This is the resurrection.
But she doesn't know that yet.
Mhm.
You know, she came to the tomb to visit or to perform whatever ministrations are due at this time after the Sabbath, and she was so sad when she got there. And then she looked in the tomb, and there are angels, which I don't know what they looked like other than they were in white, and they're asking why she's crying. She's like, you know, oh shoot, I was here, and now not only is my beloved friend not died, but now she realizes that his body's not there, and then, you know, where is he? Oh my gosh! And
Yeah.
Same thing. Here's another man. Why are you crying? He could just be a bystander or the gardener or something. Why are you crying? What's wrong? Well, okay, I came to the tomb and the body's gone, and just flat don't know what to do, and in grief. So that all doesn't seem so surprising to me. But then imagine her, if I'm anywhere close to correct, and she's in such grief, and then imagine when she recognizes Jesus. No wonder she wants to cling to him. Oh my God.
Yeah. I want to turn to Richard Rohr at this point, and he wants us to look at a couple of things here. Yeah, you can go. This story about Mary Magdalene is in all 4 Gospels. That's really rare, and I can't tell you how rare that is. Mary not only was the last one to be at the tomb on the day of the crucifixion, she's also here, and in Mark, she is alone waiting at the tomb. So his position is this is something very different about Mary, and how she's been treated by the gospel writers and by history. So this is Richard Rohr's reflection on Mary Magdalene yesterday. As Ed mentioned, he is doing this entire week is a reflection on Mary Magdalene, who Rohr is saying ought to be considered an apostle to the apostles. So let me read this reflection and get your thoughts on it. After seeing the risen Christ, Mary went to announce to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord, and this is what he said to me." It is on the basis of this announcement that Mary earned the title Apostle to the Apostles. The first to witness to the resurrection, she is also the one who commissions the others to go and announce the good news of the resurrection. All 4 Gospels witness to Mary Magdalene as the premier witness to the resurrection, alone or in a group, but in all cases named by name. Given the shifting sands of oral history, the unanimity of this testimony is astounding. It suggests that among the earliest Christians, the stature of Mary Magdalene is of the highest order and magnitude, more so than even the Virgin Mother, mentioned as present at the crucifixion in only 1 Gospel and in none at the resurrection. Mary Magdalene's place of honor is so strong that even the heavy hand of a later male-dominated ecclesiology cannot entirely dislodge it. All 4 Gospels insist that when all the other disciples are fleeing, and I'm going to interject here, when Mary goes to tell the apostles that Jesus is risen, they're locked in an upper room. That's how bold their witness is at this point. All 4 Gospels insist that when all the other disciples are fleeing, Mary Magdalene stands firm. She does not run. She does not betray or lie about her commitment. She witnesses. Hers is clearly a demonstration of either the deepest human love or the highest spiritual understanding of what Jesus was teaching, perhaps both. But why, one wonders, do the Holy Week liturgies tell and retell the story of Peter's threefold denial of Jesus, while the steady, unwavering witness of Magdalene is not even noticed? How would our understanding of the Paschal mystery change if even that one sentence being, but Mary's, wait a minute.
I have seen the Lord.
I have seen the Lord, and that this is what he said to me, was routinely included in the Good Friday and Palm Sunday Passion narratives. What do you think?
Well, I don't have issue with including that in the right place, but the Palm Sunday and Good Friday narratives doesn't sound to me to be correct, because this is after he's risen.
Okay. And speaking of his steady witness, so maybe we leave off with a little emphasis on her being at the crucifixion.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's inferring here. But
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
somehow working into the you know into the Good Friday and Palm
does-
Sunday services, that in the midst of all deserting Jesus, I mean, maybe you end it that maybe it's, and this is Rohr, so it's like I don't know quite whether that's the right sentence he intended, or whether it's the one that says some remained after the crucifixion, and there was a steady presence there looking to the future.
Yeah, and it does say in at least one of the Gospels, in the Passion narrative that I'm thinking of, that lists several people who were present, Mary and the other Mary. I think we have three among whom we can choose two, but yeah, I don't think it's silent that she's there, but I have no argument with discussing strengthening the emphasis on her presence. I'm just not do it.
Let me read the second question here. What if instead of emphasizing that Jesus died alone and rejected, we reinforce that one stood by him and did not leave? For surely this other story is as deeply and truly there in the scripture as is the first.
I think that would have really changed or challenged the narrative, the male-driven narrative.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we can't know everything about what really happened, of course. But I've always wondered what her role was. I know people have speculated, you know, were they like married or whatever, you know, and it definitely, you know, it does change the story in my mind some, but at the same time, it doesn't make it worse. It doesn't necessarily make it better. It just sort of is to me.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that people, for people who are not really, studying scripture, and they are churchgoers, on Good Friday, Palm Sunday, Easter, just hearing the popular, common stories. I mean, that betrayal is very prominent in their knowledge, and if I think what Richard Rohr is saying is, if we consistently reported about Mary being beside Jesus and not leaving him alone, that would be a more prominent picture in more people's minds, which would be, a more encouraging, reassuring picture, I think.
Well, and also taking
maybe a more challenge to us.
Yeah, and also just a reminder that Mary Magdalene has been treated pretty badly by the church over the years. The Archbishop of Canterbury, if you go to this morning's prayer, he, it must be the feast day this week of Mary Magdalene. I guess.
Yes, today.
So he completely, debunks all the negativity around Mary Magdalene, talks about how Jesus healed her, and talking about what her 7 demons were, and she wasn't the prostitute that we, eventually over the years, the church kind of set her free from her bad reputation. But what if we knew that Mary Magdalene was maybe close to Jesus's equal in her spiritual understanding? I mean, that could have changed a whole lot of stuff for a lot of us who are born into female bodies, who care, love God, want to serve.
Yeah.
Well, I think you know,
Mhm.
I'm just assuming that was by, if not by intention, eons ago, definitely not even, it couldn't have been acknowledged because they, it wasn't thought of that way, that it would, I mean, I think people would think that would be impossible back, like
Mhm.
historians way back.
Mhm.
I take issue with where it says Jesus died alone and rejected. Rejected, yes. Alone, no. And I'd have to go study all the gospel presentations and descriptions of the crucifixion. But the understanding I have is there were plenty of witnesses. And okay, so alone has more than one meaning, but also the people who were dear to him are mentioned as having been present. So rejected, absolutely. And I'm thinking of the scripture verses that I'm familiar with from Handel's Messiah. I just can't cite them, but
Mhm.
despised, rejected. Yeah, he was rejected. I don't know the part about alone.
Guess I had always assumed that Mary Magdalene and Jesus's mother, perhaps some of his brothers, were there at the crucifixion.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I kind of guessed that and this might just be a kind of a strange theory, but if Jesus is fully human and fully divine, he may have been able to experience some of human love with Mary. And that's just my one of my working theories that, and if you go and look at when Mary left and went, was it to the area like in France, there became kind of this following, almost a cult following, later on in church history. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I've got to excuse myself, so I wanted to pop in.
I have a question. Has any of the revisions to the Bible been written by a woman?
I
don't know.
Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
I think
That would-
some of them have been done by committee, and however, I
Yeah.
don't know the membership of the committees.
Yeah.
Question.
That may be a reason of why it's written the way it is.
Mhm.
And definitely, as Jan was saying earlier, the cultures historically and through the ages have had limitations.
Yeah, well, the apostles were all men, and all the revisions to the Bible have been written by men, probably.
Yeah.
Right, and if they wanted to really, I've always wondered, like, how much in the writing are they really trying to make it seem like the prophecies have been fulfilled? And so they're sort of giving you the parts of the story that are consistent with prophecy and things like that, and how it doesn't play to that narrative and the male-dominated narrative to have him not be rejected and to have someone standing there firm with him.
Mhm. Yeah, there's certainly evidence of that. And I think what Richard Rohr is doing here is, there are a couple things there. When he says alone, I think he's suggesting or pointing us to the fact that while there obviously were a lot of people witnessing the crucifixion, there's no indication that any of the apostles were there. There is indication there are women there. Mary Magdalene and Joanna and Mary, the mother of James, are named, but none of the apostles showed up. So I wonder if he's, testing us a little bit on where are the apostles? And we know because we find them a few days later locked away in an upper room. So I think he's wanting us to reflect here. As it say, he's taking a whole week to talk about Mary Magdalene And this is quite unique, as I said at the beginning, that he gets named in all four Gospels. That almost never happens, particularly for a woman to even be named. There are stories about Jesus and women where we never hear the woman's name. So here we get Mary Magdalene named, placed there, and placed. He's recommending to the church that she be called an apostle to the apostles. So with that, I'll leave you. I highly recommend Richard Rohr's daily meditation. It is thought-provoking. I think he stretches us at times to say what's literally there and what's beyond the written word. So let me move on now. Our prayers. Our Father, your will be done on earth as in heaven. Are there petitions or thanksgivings anyone would like to share?
For Carol, Mark, Bunny, Jim, and Nancy.
For Van Gardner, who's being transported from Maine to Johns Hopkins.
Kathy.
For Jim and Ollie.
For all those who are grieving.
Family of my friend Rick, who recently passed away.
Would someone like to read the closing prayer for us?
I will.
Okay.
Creator of the universe, infinite and glorious, you give us laws to save us from our folly. Give us eyes to see your plan unfolding, your purpose emerging as the world is made. Give us courage to follow the truth, courage to go wherever you lead. Then we shall know blessings beyond our dreams. Then will your will be done. Almighty and everlasting God, we thank you that you have brought us safely to the beginning of this day. Keep us from falling into sin or running into danger, and guide us to do always what is right in your eyes. Holy and enabling Spirit, give wings to our morning prayers. May those we support and cherish with our love receive your grace to help them in their need. Amen.
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 Okay.
I love that part. Give wings to our morning prayers.
That's a wonderful
That's
prayer.
lovely.
Good morning, Gary. You up on the roof
Gary.
again?
Yeah, up on the
Hi,
roof, 6:15 this morning.
How do we- oh my
Hi, Bill.
goodness.
Can you stop the recording? I think Jim.
I'm-
You were on the
Connie,
ground.
I don't know how to do that. Hey, Connie, can you stop the recording?
I'm not host today.
Um,
Do you want to stop the cloud
Somebody else?
recording? Yes.